All educators face the similar problem of having too much to teach and too little time to teach it in. We have national standards, state standards, district standards, and grade level standards that we work tirelessly to fulfill. In a recent study, Marzano and Kendall discovered that if teachers were to spend 30 minutes of instructional time for each benchmark, students would need to have 15,465 additional hours of school. That's 9 more years of instruction. So, what can we do to make sure we teach all the required standards in a meaningful way in the time we are allotted?
Standards is to teach the broader ideas the standards are speaking to and use the benchmarks to fill in and support them. Some researchers call this concept based curriculum and advocate using the standards as a way to prioritize content so that the big ideas are taught and transferability of concepts and processes can be hit on.
Wow, this can be done easily by using essential questions to focus learning and sharing the big ideas, which should help students see how their content relates to other subjects that they are learning. This helps teachers, students, and their families see that the main goal is to improve learning of important content, not just plowing through textbooks or practicing for the year-end achievement tests.
So, take the art standard. Students will recognize how technical, organizational, and aesthetic elements contribute to the ideas, emotions, and overall impact communicated by works of art.
Wow, that's a very broad standard.
Yes, but if I frame it using big ideas, it gets manageable. For example, I could use great artists often break with established traditions, conventions, and techniques to express what they see and feel as my big idea.
Oh, then you could use essential questions like, what makes art great? To get the students to think about the specifics within the standard.
Exactly. Now the standard is focused and allows students to think of ideas from other content areas to help them answer the question, promoting transferability.
Wow.
So, we know we want the students to investigate the essential questions and learn the big ideas in the content standards. The question now becomes, what is the best way to package this type of lesson? I submit that using a backward design is an excellent way to structure your lessons. It allows the teacher to create lessons, units, even whole courses with clearly defined goals and suitable assessments, which leads to focused teaching. When we begin our backwards planning, teachers should consider the following 3 stages, which can be placed on the proposed planning template.
Stage 1. Identify desired results.
What do I want my students to be able to know or do at the end of the lesson? What essential questions will I use to get them to focus in on the content I am teaching? I will put the big ideas I want my students to understand in box U. And the essential questions in box Q. A good strategy to discover what big ideas and questions should be applicable for the standard you are teaching is to find the nouns within the standard.
Stage 2. Determine acceptable evidence.
How will I know when my students have gained the desired knowledge knowledge? What evidence is acceptable to show that they understand and have the necessary skills? This stage asks that the teacher put on her assessor hat and figure out what data she needs to collect from the students to show that they have learned what was supposed to be learned. Performance tasks, observations, traditional paper and pencil tests, and work samples can all be used as evidence of learning. Performance tasks should be listed in box T on the template, and all other evidence that will be collected should be put in box OE. A good strategy for figuring out what types of assessments can be used to show proficiency in a particular standard is to seek out the verbs used in that standard.
Words like know, identify, apply, analyze, explain, interpret, display empathy, and reflect.
Exactly.
Stage 3. Plan learning experiences and instruction.
What does the teacher need to provide to facilitate student performance and learning? What activities and in what sequence should they be offered to best help the standards reach the learning goals? This is where the teacher needs to consider what the most fitting activities are that both engage and are effective to help students learn and reach the desired goals. These will be listed on box L of the template. By thinking of all this through, teachers will avoid the
Twin sins.
of lesson planning. The first sin, generally committed in the elementary grades, is planned activities that are engaging, hands-on, and kid-friendly, but do not help the student learn in the long term. They are fun to do, but the student is not being actively engaged in what knowledge or skill they are supposed to be working toward. The second sin, usually discovered in high school and college, is when the teacher tries to cram everything into a lesson so that the content of the textbook is covered. The teacher forgets to check for student understanding or make necessary adjustments to help the students obtain the required understanding.
Planning lessons backwards using these 3 steps allows the teacher to focus on exactly what she wants the students to know and do within each standard and what she needs to do to help her students get there.